Hello, Facebook. Just making sure my Wi-Fi is correct. So what did everyone do with the outage of Facebook and Instagram today? Yeah, I was like, I got a clue this morning. I was like, I think we're going down again. And I have a story before I put Instagram on because, actually, let me put Instagram on. So welcome Instagram. So what did everyone do with the outage today of Instagram and Facebook? Everyone freak out again? I was like, oh, this is the universe's way of telling us that we need to disconnect, right? So the last time this happened was March 13th. And no, it's not because I'm some weirdo that like is addicted to social media. It is because it's the day that my dog died. And we had to go, you know, the last video I posted on that morning was me in the car with him right before we took him to the vet. And then later on that night, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been on anything all day, like Instagram, Facebook. I was with my family, and come to find out, Instagram and Facebook were down that day. So it's like the universe is like, there you go. If you're feeling guilty for not being around for your friends on social media, you have reprieve today. So that was the last day it went down. So today, unfortunately, I didn't have any major traumatic events. So I will probably forget this date because it's no big deal, right? It's just that you guys had a break from social media, you got to connect with people, and this is perfect for my topic tonight. And I think it's instigated because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts from my longevity or functional medicine docs, my anti-aging docs, or what they call it biohackers, so people that are trying to live a long life. And this is something that came up when I was in Costa Rica. Thank goodness, my husband stopped mowing the lawn. So I don't know if you guys know what the blue zones are. Does anyone know what a blue zone is? Anyone know? Anyhow, I would think, it's 9 o'clock at night. People would want to be on social media since you haven't been on all day. But anyhow, a blue zone are basically there's 5 blue zones. And actually I visited one of them and I didn't even know what a blue zone was until I was there. One of the blue zones is in Costa Rica, where we were visiting last summer in the Nicoya Peninsula. And I have a couple of stories to tell you about that because I geek out on this stuff, guys. I am an anti-aging doctor. I am a geek and with fitness and nutrition. I just love it. I just devour all the information on it and how it can make us live longer because I want the knowledge so I can spread it to you guys, right? So there are 5 blue zones, and these are basically places where people, it's telling me I have to go to bed, live basically statistically longer lives, okay? So among the world's centenarians that are believed to slow the aging process. So these people are living to well over 100. And it's not the average age, but it's they are living these 5 regions, and they're called the blue zones because the guy, his name was, I don't know, Buettner, circled them in blue. That's how they're called the blue zones. But basically these 5 regions are where they study these people to figure out why they're living so long. What are the habits that they are doing that we can learn from, right, to live long lives. So, and actually I was discussing this with a tour guide, a nature tour guide on one of our nature walks in Costa Rica, because I was very intrigued by studying this and figuring it out, right? So besides the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, there's Sardinia, there's a place in Greece, there's Loma Linda in California. So there is one place in California, and Okinawa, Japan. Making sure I got them right, yeah. So basically there are, I think, 9 characteristics of these people that they studied that made them, or they found correlated to their longevity or living longer lives. So, and I actually talked about a few of these with the tour guide in Costa Rica. And then I'll tell you a story about one of them soon. But number 1, they all have purpose in their life. And actually this is a statistic in the US even, that the death rate amongst retirees is greater for those that retire and because they don't have a purpose anymore in life. So guys, even if you retire, have a purpose in your life. Have a reason that you wake up every morning. These people in these these regions, they wake up with purpose every morning, okay? Like, even if they stay at home with their children, their purpose in life is to stay at home with their children and make sure their children grow up to carry out their family tradition and be just like them. And, you know, they have purpose, right? It's not that you wake up and go, oh, another day, what am I going to do? Why am I living? I have nothing to add to this world, right? So, like, they don't have that. They wake up with purpose. And actually, it says, knowing your sense of purpose is worth up to 7 years on your life expectancy. So if you want to add 7 years to your life, wake up every day with purpose, knowing that you're going out into the world and you have a purpose in this life, okay? Number 2, they don't stress as much as us. And I have actually a story about this. Because we all know that chronic inflammation leads to chronic disease, right? Or stress leads to chronic inflammation, which leads to chronic disease. So they don't stress. And, you know, I won't go through all the different regions of what they do, you know, happy hours or taking naps or what have you. I have an example. We were in Costa Rica. We were late for a kayaking trip of some sort. And we were on a house like way up on a mountain. Gorgeous, beautiful house. You can never get a house like this in the US. With the view and the price and just everything. It had outdoor pool, outdoor kitchen. It was amazing. But to come down, it was like a big, like, it was a dirt road. We didn't leave this house one night when there was a major storm for fear that we couldn't get back up. So we finally get down the road. We get all the way into town, which is another 10 minutes. We were already late because of me for this tour. We had to meet the tour guides with the kayaks in town. And we get there, and I realize that I only have my flip-flops on, and you're not supposed to have flip-flops. You're supposed to have, like, Keens or some sort of water shoes. And, of course, you know my husband. If you guys know my husband, he's just, like, is not happy. And I said to these people, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I guess I can't go. I forgot my Keens. And they're like, oh, no problem. You know, if your house is on the way to the river, we'll just wait at the bottom of the mountain. You go up and get them, and then come back down. Guys, it was no big deal. I was stressing about this, and my husband was stressing about this. To them, they're like, no big deal. So they sat at the bottom of the mountain at the road, waiting for us, just hanging out. Like, there was just no, like, and I saw this repeatedly, especially we went to 2 different areas of Costa Rica. Predominantly, we came off the Nicoya Peninsula for the second half, and there was a difference, but I'm telling you, at Nicoya Peninsula, these people did not stress. There was no stress. There was like, they go with the flow. Nothing phases them, which was pretty amazing. There was no electronics. Like, they weren't on their phones like we are. And that's not one of the listed ones, but that's an observation I made. They were just kind of like connecting and talking and like being real people, right? They do the 80% rule. So essentially, they don't eat until they're full. Okay, or I should say stuffed. They stop eating when they're starting to feel full. Okay, so yeah, I think Americans, we tend to overeat, and that's part of the problem. And you know, that 20% gap between like eating until you're stuffed or eating until you're satisfied is the difference between gaining and losing weight, right? So and it's interesting. So let's talk about their diet. They're mostly a plant-based diet. They eat lots of beans, black soy, lentils, and I noticed that. And they had their protein. They have this is what they offered: protein. Essentially, they don't eat a whole lot of meat apparently in these blue zones. I only had Costa Rica. I haven't been to the other 4 blue zones. Maybe they're going to be on my list now, but the Costa Ricans, it wasn't low carb, it wasn't high fat, it was basically a protein, lots of beans and rice. And yeah, they they were healthy eating that way. And here we are in the US, like, restricting our carbs, and like, you have all these freaking food rules, guys. It's like what you can't eat. They're eating it all. Although in certain regions, they do cut down and eat like animal protein 5 times a month, and that's it. So mostly plant-based diet, but that's not all of them. They drink wine, guys. And I'm so happy that they drink wine because I love wine. But they do it in moderation, meaning like 1 to 2 drinks a night versus like 14 on the weekends. So they don't binge drink. That's the difference. They drink in moderation. So yeah. And they there was something, they have a sense of belonging. So a lot of them are faith-based regions, you know, having it's not even faith, having a community, having a place where you belong, a sense of not being alone is a factor in longevity. And there's also something, I guess I didn't, they move naturally. So what that means is they don't go and they don't go to the gym and they don't do even my home workouts. They work out in nature. And I saw that all the time. Like, it's interesting. They are, I have another observation to make that's not on this list, but they are very active people. Like they grow their own gardens. Like they don't have the machinery that we have to tend to their farms and their gardens. And, you know, it's all manpower. And so they don't need to go to the gym or do workouts at home because they're out constantly all day moving their bodies. So, and then I guess the last one is that they surround themselves with people that are doing the same thing. So I always talk about supporting yourself or surrounding yourself with the right tribe with supportive people. And that's super important for your health and for your success in getting healthier, right? The last observation, and I'm going to try to make this one short because it's kind of late. Thank you, Instagram and Facebook, for going down today because I should have done this earlier today. But the last observation I made, actually it was a discussion I had with the conservationist who was doing the nature walk with us in Costa Rica, where we were talking about processed foods. And because I was very intrigued by this nature tour guide who was talking about the medicinal uses of the bark of the trees and like how educated they are about their land, their trees, their animals, like everything. They, you know, we were in a house where there was this animal that would come in and eat in the kitchen if you didn't put everything away. And in the US, typically if you put a house in the middle of a dry rainforest, you would kill the animal that was coming in to satisfy the people that were living in the house, but not in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, we did everything to not have the animal come in, but we didn't hurt that animal, right? So we had to like put this tie around the refrigerator. We had to clean off the counters because it was an outdoor kitchen. It was free air. And come to find out, I actually discovered it wasn't the animal that they thought was getting in our kitchen. They thought it was what they call a coati, which kind of looks like a dog. Yes, yeah, I agree. Surrounding yourself with your peeps, so true, so motivational and encouraging and inspiring for me. Yay. Yeah, you gotta surround yourself with the people that are going the same way you are going. But anyhow, back to my story. We thought that it was this coati, and coatis are like dogs. I'm like, how is a coati that looks like a dog coming up and squeezing ketchup and putting it on the ceiling? Like, sounds like something with an opposing thumb, right? Well, one morning, because we're in Costa Rica and it was so gorgeous, and I could not, you know me guys especially on Instagram, that watch my Instagram stories in the morning. I'm up early, I'm working out. I could not miss a sunrise in Costa Rica. So every morning, especially our sunrise, it was up over this, you know, we saw the ocean. It was just gorgeous. And I peeked out. Something told me to get up one morning, and I just had to like peek out. I peeked out at 5:30 in the morning, and it was this white-faced monkey, which they didn't think they had in this region. And I actually got a video of him, and my husband was in the lower level bedroom, and I was like texting him. I'm like, oh my gosh, come out. You know, this is our friend that's coming into our kitchen, because he was actually looking up into the kitchen. And the landlords actually are Canadian. So we told the property manager that it was not a coati, it was a monkey. It sounds more like a monkey that's getting in the kitchen and wrecking havoc, right? Getting in the garbage and what have you. But we had the culprit on camera. I sent the video. So anyhow, moral of the story is the peeps you know, I'm sure it's true of the other 4 zones too, that regions that they are one with their environment. They don't disrupt their environment. You know, they learn everything about their trees and, you know, their nature. And so last story before I get off, guys, is the story I had with this gentleman who was doing the nature walk. And we're talking about organic foods and GMO and all that good stuff because they know about that stuff. But it was interesting. So we flew into a more populated area, in touristy area where the airport was. And then we had to drive down a good, I would say, hour and a half to 2 hours to the Nicoya Peninsula. And as we were around the airport, you saw a Taco Bell, a McDonald's, a Burger King, you know, you name it. As we came down, you didn't see any. I think we saw one Subway maybe an hour outside of Nicoya Peninsula, and then no more. No more chains, no more processed food, no more fast food. It was incredible. Like, so that was one observation I made down on that peninsula. There were no chains. There was nothing you see in you know, our country of like all this processed convenient food, because all of the restaurants had actually people making the food, and it was Costa Rican food. That was number one. And number two, I'm going to leave you on this one. He was saying how there were like no pesticides sprayed in their region. However, just north of the Nicoya Peninsula where we came through, there was a pineapple farmer who was feeling the stress of like trying to keep up with the crop and stay competitive. Like we know in the US, like a lot of dairy farmers had to feel that way and start giving their cows things to help them produce more. You know, they needed to stay competitive in the milk. And I know this because my father was a farmer. They needed to stay competitive in producing milk, and the milk prices were so bad that the more they produced, the more they got. So you got to produce more, right? So the same, it sounds like it's happening down there, in that this pineapple farmer has to produce more pineapples. So he is spraying pesticides to kill the bugs so his crop can grow and not as much gets killed off. And the interesting thing is, in that region where this pesticide is now being sprayed, he said the incidence of cancer is going up. So another thing that's not on this 9 things that I just talked about is that a lot of these places most likely don't have the, you know, the spraying of the pesticides, and these like, they're much more, their food is much more wholesome, you know, like the food that we had 30, 40 years ago, not sprayed with this crap that we have to worry about now, right? However, he said he feels like the chain stores, or not stores, this chains are coming down, like McDonald's and Subway are going to make their way down, as well as the pesticides, because the farmers down there are going to want to stay competitive and make a living. So they're going to start making or spraying their crops. So he thinks that eventually Nicoya Peninsula will not be a blue zone, which is kind of sad. But nonetheless, the people were wonderful. They were not very stressed. They were not on their, I saw nobody on their phones. It was just an incredible place to visit. I highly recommend going there. The Nicoya Peninsula, we have an amazing house. If anyone wants a recommendation for an amazing house that's really affordable. Yeah, and just really like not, I mean, even in the house in Costa Rica, in the Nicoya Peninsula, the Wi-Fi was terrible. So there you go. Like the Wi-Fi is terrible. They're cutting you off from the world, and you just have to be with your family and talk. And that's what they do. They're with their, did I talk about that? They're with their family. Oh yeah. I didn't talk about that. That was one of the 9 that I forgot to talk about. They put their family first, and you saw that all over the place. Like so essentially, like you put your kids first. When you get older, they'll take care of you, and you take in the grandparents. Like they just put family first above all else, which leads to them living longer. So I don't think I forgot it. No, that's it. I almost forgot about that one, but that was super important because I actually saw that in Costa Rica. So, okay guys, so the secret to living a long life, do the 9 things that I saw in Costa Rica done over and over, and the other 4 regions of the blue zones. If you can, it's not very hard, aside from if you're a meat eater, cutting down on your meat. I have my whole opinion on that, but I won't go into it right now. Yeah, and I hope this helps. I thought it was super intriguing. I geek out on this health kind of stuff. Like anything that, you know, elongates my life and makes me live longer. And if they're that easy to do, and they've studied these populations of people that like live long and what they do, it's not hard. So hopefully you can implement a couple of these, and hopefully you guys can live to your 100 too. So, all right, let me end Insta first, and then Facebook. Okay guys, have a great night. Happy 4th. Tomorrow, I know a lot of people probably aren't watching because you guys are getting ready for the 4th of July tomorrow. I get it. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with a health related talk on your 4th of July. So if anyone's around and want to talk health related things, tune in tomorrow. Otherwise, watch the replay on Friday. Okay guys, love you. See you Friday, or no, see you tomorrow, Thursday.